Okay, everyone, we will settle down for today's sermon, and you may show your agreement with three rounds of sadhu. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Kismin nuko bhikkave sati king upadaya king abhinivissa evaṃ ditti uppajjati so atta so loke so pecca bhavissāmi nicco dhuvo sassato aviparinama dhammoti. Dear Venerable, dear Dhamma friends, imagine if we are possessed by an unknown entity. If we take that possession as ourselves, then we are meeting with lot of trouble. We are possessed by an unknown entity, and we don't know that we are possessed. And we take that possession as ourselves. And when certain troubles happen, we suffer. We experience extreme levels of lower emotions. Sometimes we are happy, sometimes we are sad. Sometimes you feel like working, sometimes you are utterly frustrated. So this way, you take this possessing entity as yourself, and due to that taking, you suffer. So this is a good way to start today's discussion. Now, the particular sutta that I have selected for the retreat, it is called So Attha Sutta. So Attha Sutta. If we translate it, we can say, this is mine. This is mine. So this particular sutta is in Samyutta Nikaya Khandavagga. So Attha Sutta. So in this particular teaching, Buddha is asking a question from a group of monks. He is asking a question like this. Kismin nuko bhikkave sati king upadaya king abhinivissa evaṃ ditti uppajjati. Because when what exists, because of grasping to what, does such a view as this arise? So Buddha is asking the question, when what exists, because of grasping to what, such a view as this arise? That's the question that Buddha is asking. Then he is giving the view. He is saying, so atta, so loke, so pecca bhavissāmi, nicco dhuvo sassato, aviparinama dhammoti. So he is explaining, he is giving the particular view that he is talking about. If we translate it, we can say, this is mine. I am this. This is my world. Having passed away, I shall be permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change. So this is the particular view that Buddha is talking about. He is asking, when what exists, because of grasping to what, does such a view arise? That's the question that Buddha is asking. When what exists, because of grasping to what, such a view arise? That's the question. Now, what type of view is this? First, we have to think about it, reflect about it. Now, this is mine. I am this. This is my world. Now, the usual way of thinking, the worldly way of dealing with things. This is how we deal with the world. This is how the usual thinking is. I am this is mine, this is my world. That type of a thinking arises. And due to that thinking, time after time, we grasp into things, we try to fight certain situations, and due to that grasping, due to that fighting, we have to undergo a lot of suffering. So you can see, although Buddha is explaining with certain kind of definition, when we put it into practice, we can really see it is simply the worldly view. The worldly people, they are thinking about things like this. The worldly people, they deal with things like this. Right? For example, I got to know a certain incident a few weeks ago. One of our devotees, she was taking care of her mother-in-law at hospital. And that lady got sick due to something, and within few hours she was hospitalized, and her kidneys, they have gone bad. So when the history is considered, this mother-in-law treated this woman, her daughter, very badly. For 15 years, she didn't allow her to go to the kitchen. Not allowed. 2 children are there, not allowed to take control of the household. Lot of friction, lot of problems during those 15 years. Right? So you can see little things, but how much are we grasping onto them? How much trouble we create out of these unimportant matters. There's somebody at your home, you are not treating them well. You are creating unnecessary friction. You are creating so much trouble. And when you think about that person's thinking, they don't see a fault in this. They believe that this is the right way to behave. They believe they have to keep the authority of the household. For 15 years, that person had to undergo a lot of suffering due to that mother-in-law's behavior. But at the end of it, she got sick, and the only person that took care of was this daughter. And on her bed, she was asking, "Are you angry with me? I have treated you very badly." Those type of thoughts came to her even on her last few days. So you can see what point is there to grasp into such unnecessary things. Why would you do such horrible things to somebody else? But still, people behave that way. Why do they behave that way? Simply they think, this is mine, I am this, and this is my world. That's that type of a thinking, that type of a thought process is there. No matter what they do, they don't see a fault in the things that they are doing. Why? Because they have this wrong view. They think that this is mine. They think that this is I am. They think that this is my world. That type of a thinking. So, after a few days being hospitalized, this lady got little better. She was feeling a little better. But unfortunately, the patient that was on the next bed, that patient died. Right? So that particular incident was a huge shock to her. And after that, no talking. Whenever somebody asked a question, she was simply pointing towards the empty bed next to her. So thinking about that person, thinking about how horrible the death would be, she died. So being dead, where they will go after death? Where will they reborn after death? So you can see this life continues and they have to suffer according to their behavior. So these type of things people go through for many decades, many years, and they don't see any fault in them. They simply do whatever they feel like doing. Why? What is the reason? This particular wrong view. And Buddha is adding, having passed away, I shall be permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change. That type of a mentality, that type of attitude is there. Now, we most of the time, we also believe that there is life after death. That's our belief. Now, even the Hinduism, they also believe that there is life after death. Now, there's this particular teaching of Vedanta, and in that, they say that there is this eternal observer behind a person. That observer is eternal. And they call this eternal observer Atman. Then they say there is another eternal observer behind the universe. And that they call them Brahman. And eventually there is no difference between the Atman and the Brahman. It's like changing clothes. This body is like a cloth that you are wearing. After a few decades, you change the cloth and start wearing something new. But there is this eternal person traveling life to life. That type of a view is there. Now some of you might think this is similar to the view of the Buddha. Buddha is also telling something like this, you might wonder. But when we go into this particular sutta, Buddha is mentioning what his view is. He is asking this question, what is the, when what exists, because of grasping to what, does such a view as this arise? What is the view? This is mine, I am this is my world. Having passed away, I shall be permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change. So after asking this question, Buddha is explaining this particular incident or this particular sutta, this particular view with 5 aggregates. Now we all know 5 aggregates. So he is explaining this particular view with 5 aggregates. He is saying when form exists, because of grasping to form, such a view arises. When feeling exists, because of grasping to feeling, such a view arises. When perception exists, because of grasping to perception, such a view arises. When volitional formations exist, because of grasping to volitional formations, such a view arises. When consciousness exists, because of grasping to consciousness, such a view arises. So Buddha is trying to explain the reasoning for such a view based on 5 aggregates. That's the explanation that Buddha is giving. And the teaching or the sutta continues, but let's take this particular point and let's discuss a bit. Now he is saying when 5 aggregates are there, when grasping to 5 aggregates are there, such a view arises. What is the view? This is mine, I am this is my world. That type of a view. And he is thinking that I'll be permanent, stable, eternal, not subject to change. So when we think about this, when we think about this world, now as practitioners, when we come into practice, do we understand this? Do we feel that we are grasping to form? Do we feel that we are grasping to feeling? Do we feel that we are grasping to perception? Do we feel that we are grasping to volitional formations? Do we feel that we are grasping to consciousness? You might think yes, but actually we don't feel them separate. Instead, there's this huge bundle of form. There's this huge bundle of feeling. There's this huge bundle of perception. There's this huge bundle of volitional formations. There's this huge bundle of consciousness. And when we combine this entire thing, all we see is a self. All we see is that I exist. All we see is I am talking, I am functioning, I am doing these things. That type of a experience is there. And you come to a retreat, how much friction you will have to undergo. I'm sure if you are residential here, if you don't go home in the evening, then you start to feel a lot of friction. If you go home, then there's a break from this, no? Then you might not feel that much of friction. You will go home, you will eat your meals, you will watch little TV and peacefully sleep. But when you become residential, you start to feel a lot of friction. That is true. You start to feel your mind going crazy with certain thoughts, ideas, views. Sometimes past incidents come. Sometimes compulsive behaviors appear. So these type of frictions you start to feel. You get certain memories, thoughts, planning about an incident. If that incident is dark, if that incident was bad, then you can really feel you are experiencing a lot of friction. And compulsive behaviors appear. You used to function very well. In your body, so many things are functioning. Breathing is there, then heat control is there, blood circulation is there, food digestion is there, many processes are there. You used to function very well. But what happens when you try to be mindful? Everything becomes a problem. I remember last retreat, somebody was there at Nissarana, and that person was saying, Bante, I sat down for meditation. After sitting for a while, I went into something like an heart attack. I couldn't breathe properly. I was so fearful. And I had to stop meditation and try to catch my breath. So you have been breathing fine, maybe for like many decades. Now you go into meditation, suddenly you feel that you can't breathe. Suddenly you feel that your chest is tightening. Those type of feelings come. So you have to first deal with the heart attack. If you survive only, you can meditate. So that person attended to that, trying to survive that heart attack. So you can see this body has been functioning very nice. But you go into meditation, you realize everything becomes a problem. So she was asking how to avoid this heart attack. I simply told her, simply welcome the heart attack. If you die in that situation, it's a blessing. You are with precepts, you are in a monastery, you are meditating. What better opportunity is there to die? That's the best opportunity for you to die if you die. You won't die. That's grasping to the form, grasping to the feeling, grasping to the perception. All these weird behaviors come. And some people, they start to question everything. They say, saliva comes to my mouth. What shall I do? So is this the first time that saliva came? No, for many decades, it has come. But now it becomes a problem. Then Bhante, I feel that my body is itching. What shall I do? Then I asked, what did you do earlier when the body was itching? I did scratch. Then that's fine, do that. You swallow your saliva. Then continue the process. All these questions appear. Do it mindfully, that's the only thing. Earlier it was unmindful, automatically happening. Now you are noticing, it's a blessing. Simply do it mindfully, that's the only idea. There's that very nice Zen story. Usually in our body, how many movements are there? We are changing our posture, we are stretching our body, we are adjusting here and there. All those things happen, right? Even sitting here, if you notice your behaviors, you are continuously moving, changing. You can't stay still, right? So those behaviors, they have been there for a long time. Now the problem is that you are mindful, you are starting to notice them. So we suggest that you do them mindfully. That Zen story, the teacher, he was sitting and he suddenly scratched his head. Then for the second time, he was doing it slowly, mindfully, silently, step by step, and for the second time. Then somebody asked him, Bhante, why did you do for the second time? Then the teacher was answering, for the first time I wasn't mindful. Only for the second time I did with the mindfulness. Right? So naturally these things happen. You forget to be mindful. That's fine. At least now you are catching it. Now you are seeing how many times I am adjusting my posture. How many times I stretch my body. Now remember the COVID times? That COVID pandemic came and everything became a problem. Shaking hands would kill you. Right? Touching your face would kill you. So everybody was fearful, and some people, they ran into some kind of a compulsive behavior because of those restrictions. Every minute we might be touching our face few times. Earlier it was there, but now you can't do it. If you do, you will be dead. That type of a fear was there. Remember those times? So during those times, many people, they suffered these compulsive behaviors. They want to touch their face, but they can't do. And suddenly they forget and they touch. And they become fearful of their life. Right? So those type of movements, those type of adjustments are there in this body. It is natural that when you start practicing mindfulness, you start noticing these things. But that's okay. Simply continue. Do them mindfully. Notice that all these movements are there. Notice how many times you are adjusting your body. Some movements are like voluntary. Some movements are like involuntary. It is continuously happening. So it's a good way to practice, because this is the behavior of these 5 aggregates. And we don't see 5 aggregates. Instead, we see a bundle of them and that bundle appears as self. And even hunger, when you are residential here, you won't get food afternoon. So when that happens, towards the night time, you can feel lot of irritation, lot of friction due to hunger. Maybe your mind starts cursing everyone due to hunger. Your body feels faint due to hunger. And you start to feel hunger like anything. That happens. Right? So you try to drink all those allowed drinks. And you try to fill yourself. But that effort, it's in vain. No matter how much you try, you can't really fill your belly with those drinks and sugar. That's the reality. That is why they are called not food items. If they are food items only, they will fill your body. No matter how much tea that you drink, it won't fill your body. So when you practice for a while, you realize that this is a never-ending struggle. There's no point in trying to feed my belly, feed my hunger belly. Instead, simply letting it be would be much easier. I remember when I started in this journey, dark chocolate, that was the most popular item. Towards the end day, if you have dark chocolate, then you survive. Right? For many years it continued. But now, seeing dark chocolate, you get irritated. Seeing dark chocolate, you don't get any interest. Because you have tried it for many years and doesn't help. You consume sugar, your belly get even more agitated. That's the reality. So how can we accept it? That's the question that we have to ask. One time I mentioned this to a group, and one known person came back to me and said, Bhante, you are the worst one. You consume lot of sugar in the afternoons. But you tell this. Your drinks are sticking with sugar. That type of sugar you consume, but you say, don't agitate your body. Then I said, true that. Walking the talk. Difficult. Then after some time, that person again corrected themselves, saying, probably that sugar goes into all the preaching that you do. It needs lot of energy. Probably you are supporting your preachings with that sugar. So you can see even talking is easier. Yes, walking the talk is much more difficult. So we have to travel through this journey and we have to figure out how to overcome these things. What happens, I see, is that when you continue for a longer period, no matter how difficult it was in the beginning, these things become much easier. Dealing with your hunger becomes much easier. Dealing with our compulsive behaviors, they become much easier. Dealing with certain thoughts, emotions, they become much easier. In a way, continuing for some time, we get to see form as form, feeling as feeling, perception as perception, volitional formations as volitional formations, consciousness as consciousness. And when you see them as they are, the result is you feel less grasping. You feel less friction. That is the result. But you might have to continue for a long time. There's this particular incident about a monk. His name was Malinkya, and this particular monk stayed probably many years under the Buddha's monastic order. And one time he went to Buddha and he asked certain questions. He asked, is this universe eternal? Is this world eternal? Is this universe finite or infinite? Is the body same as soul or is it different? So even after practicing for many years, this monk had these doubts. This monk had these questions. And after asking these questions from Buddha, he said, Bhante, if you don't answer these questions, I will leave this monastic order. It's like, blackmailing Buddha, trying to get these answers out of him. If he doesn't answer, the monk will leave. Then Buddha was calmly asking, monk, did I tell you, come join my monastic order, and after a few years I will answer these questions? Did I ever tell you that? Then this monk is saying, no, Bhante, you didn't tell that. Then what is the point that you are making? I haven't answered these questions because they are not beneficial to your practice. If they are beneficial, I would have answered. But these questions, they are not beneficial. So you can see these questions, they revolve around this particular wrong view that Buddha is mentioning. So that's why he didn't answer those questions. If you start answering those questions, then what happens is that those answers will lead them into even more wrong views. Then Buddha is telling this very nice simile to explain the situation. He is saying this particular person is shot with an arrow. And this person is in a serious condition. All the friends, relatives, they gather and they try to take him to a hospital. But this patient, this injured patient, he is saying, no, I will not get any treatment before somebody answers these questions to me. Who shot this arrow? What is the caste of that person? Is he tall or short? How much of a distance he was while shooting this arrow? Unless you answer all these questions, I will not go to a surgeon. I will not get treatment. So Buddha is giving this simile and he is saying that your argument is similar to this person. You are shot by this arrow, but still you won't allow yourself to be treated. Instead, you would argue all this waste all this time asking unimportant questions, trying to find the answers to them. So you can see, simply by talking about these views, simply by answering these questions, it won't help you. That's the real thing. Now, currently at Nissarana, there's this Singaporean monk. He can't speak English. He speaks Mandarin. And expecting us to give him guidance on meditation. Now, such a troubling situation. Luckily, I escaped. There's this other Hamudro, he was appointed to give the meditation instructions. So, the translator is Google. That monk is speaking in Mandarin, and Google is mediating, translating to English. Then this monk is speaking in English. Google is mediating, translating to Mandarin. So whole process goes on. So I simply told him, don't waste too much of your time. Simply give walking and sitting guidance and let him practice. Let him come back to you with his meditation experience. Then again you can give some pointers. Again allow him to practice. But this monk was spending 2.5 hours answering all the confusions through Google. You can see probably he answered that monk's confusions, probably he answered even Google's confusions. Right? You don't know what is translated, Mandarin to English. No idea. But spending 2.5 hours, it was a waste of time. Not important. Instead, you give the basic guidance, let them practice. Because answering all these questions, answering whether the body is the same as the soul, you feel elated for a while, but those answers, they don't help you. All we see is a self. That's the issue here. We can talk about these philosophical questions a lot, but eventually when you function, you only experience the self. You experience that this person is walking, talking, eating, doing all these things. You experience this person is thinking thoughts. You experience this person is getting hurt. So you can see all we experience is a self. That's the issue. We can talk about 5 aggregates. We can tell this is made out of 5 aggregates. But when something happens, you realize you are attaching, grasping to that self. No matter how many preachings you've done, when something goes wrong, it is like that. Now, there was this incident, somebody was hit by a broom. Yes, said something and the response came through a broom. So this person was asking, why did he do like that? No point in asking that question, because hitting with a broom, you feel that self. They are really grasping to the situation and they come so aggressively. They can even kill someone. So that type of a mentality is there. So you have to be careful. We can say it is just the 5 aggregates. There is no self here. But no matter how much you say, when something goes wrong, you grasp it. When something goes wrong, naturally the self arises. I met this German lady probably a week ago, and she was a teacher teaching high school over there, and she came to Sri Lanka and she spent around probably like 3 weeks traveling to different monasteries, learning about different practices and staying few days in each and every place. So whole round she has done. Probably she has covered the whole country, let's say. Finally she came to Nissarana, wanted to spend couple of days before she leaves home. And this person came, very nice lady, and she said, Bhante, I have been here for 3 weeks. I have been to many monasteries. I have talked with many monks. Now I see that this is anatma. Now I understand we are not self. There is no self. All we experience is non-self. Now I have that proper understanding. That was her starting point. That's how she started her talk or discussion. Then I said, don't say like that. You can say that you are experiencing anatma, but in reality, all you are experiencing is atma. All you are experiencing is self. When something goes wrong, naturally the self arises. When something bad happens, naturally the self arises. So don't start your discussion saying that you are experiencing anatma. Then there is no need to have this discussion. So you can have this understanding, knowledge, but in reality, it doesn't work like that. So I gave her a teacher's guide for Satipasala, and there are simple lessons for children. 20 lessons were there. Simply walking mindfully, breathing mindfully, eating mindfully, those type of lessons. No deep philosophical ideas in them. So 20 lessons. I told her that you teach this course to your high school children. And when you complete this course, when you complete 20 lessons, you will be an arahant. Then she was laughing and she said, Bante, thank you for the joke. Thank you for the joke. It's nice. But what's the real understanding? It feels like a joke, but it is not really a joke. If you want to understand non-self, then what you have to do is continue this practice for a long time. Completing 20 lessons, probably one lesson each week. She will have to deal with this matter for many weeks. And as a result, she might start to feel the real practice. She might start to understand the real practice. That's the way. In real practice, we start with self. We don't say this is non-self. We don't say this is anatma. You start with self. You say, okay, this is me. I am walking. This is me, I am sitting. This is me, I am drinking something, I am eating my meals. That's how you have to start. Otherwise, if you start with anatma, it doesn't help. Right? We start with atma. And when we observe the breathing, let's take the breath in this case. When we observe the breathing, some people say, I don't like Anapanasati. I prefer meditating on 5 aggregates. I don't need breath meditation. But when you observe the breath, behind the breathing, all the 5 aggregates are there. Now, when breath touches the nose, your nostrils, there is form. Without that form, you won't be able to feel the breathing. And when you feel the breathing, there is feeling. Then when you feel the breathing, there is perception. You understand this is the in-breath, this is the out-breath, this is breath happening inside my body. Perception is there. Then the volitional formations are there. You understand with thoughts. Sometimes you even think about report writing. How to report the experience with the breathing. All these thoughts, volitions happen. And finally, there is this observer of this whole process, consciousness. So even when you observe a single breath, you are experiencing all 5 aggregates. That's the importance here. Don't think that you are only experiencing form. That is not true. Instead, it's a combination of all 5 aggregates. And what we do is, we leave the rest away. We leave the rest behind and we only go with the breathing. Because if you start with the whole thing, then it is the self. But why we select the breathing and we keep observing the same breath repetitively. We take these 5 aggregates, we take the selected breath and we keep observing it. And when you do that, what happens? When you do that, you can feel the breath becomes subtle. And after a while, if you continue the observation, you realize the breath has disappeared. When the breath has disappeared, the form disappears. The feeling disappears. The perception disappears. Volitional formations disappears. Consciousness disappears. So for a moment, you might be able to see something beyond the self. That particular object, it disappeared, and all the 5 aggregates related to that object disappear along with that. So that's how you can really see what is the true self that's here. In a way, it's more like this questioning kind of observation. We don't say this is non-self. Instead, we say, I want to observe this self. I want to observe this Atma. And I want to figure out what is the true essence in this. So in a way, your observation is like a doubtful observation. Your observation is like observing somebody else's behaviors. You keep an eye on it and you see what is truly happening. That type of a doubtful observation is there. Earlier, you have been grasping to these things. You have been taking them as you, as self. But now, due to this doubtful observation, due to this questioning observation, you start to see the reality. So we start with self. We try to observe this self. What is this self? How is it functioning? Is it truly mine? That type of a questioning, that type of a observation is there. There's this Nissarana story, and he took probably like 1 kilogram of meat home, and he said his wife, please cook this. Then the spouse, she was greedy and she ate all the meat. And after cooking, she put it on the table, only the vegetables and rice, let's say. Then Nissarana sat down for the lunch and no meat available. Then he asked from his wife, what happened to the meat? So the wife ate it secretly, but still she wanted to answer the question. She said, the cat ate it. Then Nissarana, being an observer, he takes the cat and he put the cat on a scale. Exactly 1 kilogram. Right? The cat is also weighing 1 kilogram. The meat he bought was also 1 kilogram. So Nissarana was asking, if this is the cat, where is the meat? If this is the meat, where is the cat? So he is doubting, questioning, looking at the cat, looking at the scale, asking, if this is the meat, where is the cat? If this is the cat, where is the meat? Right? That type of a questioning, doubting observation we do. If this is the self, where are the 5 aggregates? If this is the 5 aggregates, where is the self? That type of a doubting observation, questioning observation we do. Like a third person, we try to observe this process. Especially in the walking, sometimes you start to get this feeling. You observe, you feel like you are observing somebody else's walking. This person is walking comfortably, naturally, and you are the observer. It feels like somebody else is walking. And if you do certain activities like mindful eating, you can feel this greedy person is eating. Trying to fill the hunger, trying to fill their stomach. And I am simply observing this greedy person is quickly gulping down, eating all the food. So you can see that type of a questioning, doubtful observation you have to do. Not for a day, not for a week. Instead, for many years, for many decades, we should continue this observation. That is the only way to understand the secret behind this. That is the only way to understand the true nature behind this. Otherwise, we think, we say, this is just 5 aggregates, there is no self here. But when we go out to the world, when we deal with other people, when something goes bad, you can really feel a self functioning. No matter how much you think, you will work or you will react in a different way. So we have to continue this observation, and gradually you can approach it. Every one of you, you can do it. You have the potential. But we have to continue long enough. That's the only secret. We all have the potential, but rarely a person continues long enough in order to understand the true nature. We do something, we find a different teacher. We continue with a place for a month, then we go find a different place. So what is happening here? Grasping to self. What else? Grasping to certain views, ideas. Grasping to certain concepts. You are time after time indirectly saying that this is self. You are indirectly saying that this is mine. You are indirectly saying that this is Atma. That's what's happening. So we have to be patient. We have to continue with the same method, and for a long time we have to continue. And it's a nice way, because this practice, it becomes so interesting. For a beginner, they start with lot of friction, but when they continue for a while, this becomes more like a hobby. What is the hobby? Hobby is to simply observe this. Allow things to happen. Allow things to function. But you simply observe this. That's what you have to do. When you deal with other people, observe what are the thoughts in the background. Observe what are the emotions in the background. You face certain problems, turn inwards and see how your mind is reacting. You go to bed, notice how the attention goes away into the sleep. You keep the observation, and at a certain point, you go blank. Next morning only, again, you wake up. So can we identify, can we catch the moment that we are falling asleep? Very difficult. You feel that there is this gray area, like lucid dreaming kind of area. That part, it's very difficult to catch. You remember trying to be mindful, lying down on your bed. Next morning, you wake up. That's what happens. But we have to do this practice for many times. Because every day you get that opportunity. Every day you fall asleep. Every next morning you wake up. So daily this is happening. So take that opportunity. Whether you are mindful or not, you have to sleep. So why not take that opportunity? After going to bed, lying down, simply notice the posture. Simply allow the thoughts to come and go. Simply notice there are surrounding sounds. Little by little, your eyes become heavy, and at a certain point, it goes blank. So can you catch that moment? Today you can't. Again you try tomorrow. Tomorrow also difficult. Day after tomorrow, not working. This way you try weeks, you try months, and gradually you start to feel, how am I falling asleep? What is the moment that this goes blank? Can I catch it? Can I catch that gray area? Like that lucid dreaming kind of a gray area. Even in your sitting meditation, this gray area appears. Sometimes you feel like you were sleepy, but you weren't totally asleep. Sometimes you even saw a few dreams, but you are sure that you were not asleep. So even in sitting meditation, these gray areas become apparent. While sleeping also, every day you get an opportunity. Every meal is an opportunity for you to observe. Every sip of water that you take is an opportunity for you to observe. Every problem that you are facing is an opportunity for you to observe. So you see, you have many such opportunities. Every day you get hundreds and hundreds of opportunities. But we try to postpone it. We say, I'll go to a retreat and I'll meditate there. That's the worst attitude that one can have. Because the meditation happens here and now. If you are doing it, you have to do it there. If you say, I'll go to a retreat and meditate, then only observing for 3 days, then going back home for a month and simply being ignorant. That doesn't work. Instead, if you want to know the true practice, you have to do it here and now. Whatever you do, simply make it a meditation. That's why giving guidance, even we say, do the mindful walking, do the mindful sitting, approach your daily activities mindfully. That part is also important. No matter how many hours you do, no matter how many walking, sitting hours you do, still the majority would go to the daily life. Even the timetable at Nissarana, 8 hours of meditation. A full working day, 8 hours. But the waking hours, closer to 18. So 10 more hours doing various other activities. So you can see majority goes to that daily activity part. So it's truly important for you to practice during those hours. Otherwise, you are doing the meditation, sitting, walking, you are protecting your observation there, but rest of the time, you are simply ignorant. You practice mindfulness during a certain period, you practice unmindfulness during a certain period. That type of attitude won't do. So this observation, we are continuously observing, we are keeping an eye. What is happening? Allow the body to work, allow the body to function, but simply notice what is happening. Let the body drive your vehicle and simply notice, simply become the observer. You are doing so many things. You are driving, you are watching the road, probably talking to a passenger. All these things happen. But still you can keep that observation. That's the way. You eat your meals, you can keep that observation. You are at your workplace, so many things are happening, you are doing, working, but still you can keep that observation. That's the proper approach. If you want to figure out the secret behind this self, if you want to have the true understanding, then continuous observation is necessary. We make mistakes, that's not a problem. Mistakes happen. But again, next moment, you are able to re-establish your practice. Precepts are broken. But again, the next moment, you are able to re-establish your precepts. That way, we continue, and when we continue, we can really understand or experience what Buddha is saying. So tomorrow we will go through the next part of the sutta and see what Buddha is telling us and how we should incorporate those teachings into our practice. That's it for today. Thank you for listening.